Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jaffrey with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with India, which hosted the South Korean President Moon Jae-in in capital New Delhi. The four-day visit that aimed at bolstering the bilateral ties turned out to be fructiferous as both countries resolved to work together in order to achieve peace and prosperity. Ever since the signing of a comprehensive economic partnership agreement between the two countries, the ties between two countries have flourished at an unprecedented rate. A report.
In a bid to further strengthen bilateral ties between India and South Korea and expand the ambit of engagements between the two countries, Korean President Moon Jae-in paid a four-day state visit to New Delhi. The visit that came in the backdrop of the evolving equation in Korean Peninsula focused at the bilateral trade. Both countries signed 11 agreements to expand business ties and more than double their mutual trade to $50 billion by 2030. The agreements signed between the countries included accelerating negotiations to upgrade a comprehensive economic partnership agreement signed in 2009, as well as expand cooperation in railways, healthcare, telecommunications and cybersecurity.
현재 200억 불에서 500억 불 수준으로 대폭 확대해 나가기로 합의했습니다. 한편 한인도 포괄적 경제 동반자 협정에 대한 새로운 협상을 긍정적으로 평가하고 협상의 조속한 타결을 위해 노력하기로 합의했습니다. 셋째, 한반도와 남아시아 세계 평화와 안정을 위해 보다 긴밀히 협력하기로 했습니다. 나는 한반도의 항구적 평화 정착을 위한
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi credited Moon for his sustained efforts and attaining a breakthrough in long-standing hostility between South Korea and North Korea. Modi also offered Indian support in the peace talks.
कि पूर्वोत्तर और दक्षिण एशिया के प्रोलिफरेशन लिंक्स भारत के लिए भी चिंता का विषय है और इसलिए इस शांति प्रक्रिया की सफलता में भारत भी एक स्टेक होल्डर है। तनाव कम करने में जो भी सहयोग हो सकेगा हम अवश्य करेंगे और इसलिए हमने अपने परामर्श और समन्वय की गति बढ़ाने का निर्णय लिया है। कोरियाई प्रायद्वीप की शांति प्रक्रिया को गति देने का, उसे ट्रैक पर रखने का और उसमें प्रगति का पूरा श्रेय राष्ट्रपति मून को जाता है।
Earlier, while delivering keynote speech at the India-South Korea Business Forum, Moon underscored the extraordinary potential both countries possessed. He stressed on how India and Korea could lead the fourth industrial revolution if they worked together on their strengths. He assured that Korea would further cement its ties with India through a new southern policy that would work on creating a people-centered community of peace.
인도가 강한 세계적인 기초과학과 소프트웨어 기술, 한국이 강한 응용기술과 하드웨어가 서로 만나면 양국이 4차 산업혁명 시대를 함께 주도해 나갈 수 있을 것입니다. 역동적으로 발전하는 인도와 미래를 함께 하겠다는 저와 대한민국의 의지입니다. 한국은 인도의 메이크 인 인디아 정책에 적극적으로 기여할 것입니다. 현재 500여 개의 한국 기업이 인도의 진출에 투자를 늘리고 좋은 일자리를 제공하고 있습니다. 그동안 자동차, 전자, 섬유가 중심이었지만 앞으로 조선, 의료기기, 식품가공 등 다양한 분야로 확대해 나갈 것입니다. 또한 인도 정부가 추진하는 스마트시티 100개 건설, 주요 도시 간 산업회랑 건설 같은 대규모 인프라 사업에도 참가하길 희망합니다.
Earlier, Moon and Modi jointly inaugurated the world's largest mobile factory in the Indian city of Noida, situated on the outskirts of capital New Delhi. The facility that was opened in the line of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India project will allow Samsung to make phones at a lower cost due to its scale when other phone-making hubs such as China are getting more expensive.
इस नई यूनिट के लिए सैमसंग की पूरी टीम को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।   साथियों, भारत को मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का वैश्विक हब बनाने की दिशा में आज का ये अवसर बहुत ही विशेष है। 5,000 करोड़ रुपए का ये निवेश न सिर्फ सैमसंग के भारत में व्यापारिक रिश्तों को मजबूत बनाएगा, बल्कि भारत और कोरिया के संबंधों के लिए भी अहम सिद्ध होगा।
Samsung is investing more than $700 million over 3 years to expand the factory's capacity. It will allow the South Korean firm to nearly double the number of smartphones it makes in India every year from 68 million to 120 million by 2020. Korean companies have also decided to double their production of consumer electronics like refrigerators and televisions.
Moving on. In a shocking revelation, ZafarBangash, a Pakistan-born Canadian Islamist, has revealed on how the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights was influenced externally to present India in bad light. His revelation has also raised concerns on how a body of such stature has been corrupted by some unscrupulous people working at the behest of Islamabad and not for the welfare of humanity. A report.
In a sensational revelation, a Pakistani Islamist based in Canada has admitted that the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Zeid Ra'ad al-Hussein, was in constant touch with him while preparing the Human Rights Report on Kashmir, and which has been rejected by India. Based in Toronto, ZafarBangash is an Islamic movement journalist and an imam at the Islamic Society of York Region's Mosque. While speaking at a conference in Mississauga, he revealed how he and High Commissioner for Human Rights were in constant touch.
I can say to you, and I say it with all humility, but with great pride, that we, the Friends of Kashmir, also have a role in the production of this report. In fact, I have personal correspondence with the High Commissioner for Human Rights, email correspondence in which he responded to my personal letter and email saying that he would like to have access to both line of control. That means in Azad Kashmir as well as in Indian occupied Kashmir.
He also confessed about lobbying in consultation with officials in Islamabad.
I responded to him after speaking to the Foreign Office spokesman in Pakistan, Mr. Nafis Zakaria, whom I'm sure many of you know, used to be the Consul General here in Toronto. And he assured me that Pakistan would welcome the UN High Commissioner or their representatives to come to Pakistan, and they will facilitate their visit to Azad Kashmir.
President of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Sardar Masood Khan, who was also present at the event, asserted on how India should not engage in nuclear war with Pakistan.
We must take steps towards averting a war between India and Pakistan on the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, which has been called a long festering sore by Mr. Ken Stone. We should avert a war, because if there is a nuclear war in South Asia, it would be Armageddon. It would be end of civilization.
On June 14, the UN released its first ever human rights report on Kashmir, accusing security forces of gross human rights violations on both sides of the border. The report demanded Pakistan to stop using its anti-terror legislation to crack down on activists. On the other hand, it accused India of using excessive force on civilians. India called the report fallacious, tendentious, unmotivated, and a compilation of unverified information. India also registered a strong protest with the United Nations on this report.
Moving on to Pakistan, where the political situation has been growing increasingly volatile, with some unknown forces unleashing a reign of terror just before the elections. In a span of just hours, 2 blasts aimed at disrupting the pre-election process and damaging the morale of the electorate have posed serious questions before the authorities, who have repeatedly assured the people of the safe and secure elections. We have a report.
The Pakistani politics that has been evolving dramatically of late has now taken an unethical turn, with leaders being targeted either through organized crimes, military high-handedness, or the back door of judiciary. Few days back, a suicide bomber blew himself at an election rally and succeeded in his attempts of killing the top leader of the Awami National Party. ANP was apparently targeted for its anti-fanatic views and its persistent position against the fanaticism of Taliban. Such attacks, however, have taken a heavy toll on the lives of civilians.
कॉर्नर मीटिंग थी तो उसमें ये इंसिडेंट हुआ है, जिसमें अभी तक की इत्तला के मुताबिक 12 लोग शहीद हुए हैं और 32-34 जख्मी हैं। मुश्किल लम्हा है।
Later, the number of casualties spiked to almost double as many of the injured succumbed to their injuries in the hospital. Meanwhile, the National Accountability Bureau, which had earlier found former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif guilty of unlawful overseas financial dealings, sentenced him 10 years of imprisonment. The verdict, that has been questioned by many for its timing, has also sentenced Sharif's daughter and his son-in-law to lengthy terms in prison. Experts across the political spectrum believe that the deep state of the army has been instrumental in giving the shape to the present run-up to the elections. They have repeatedly accused the army of rigging the elections beforehand. There are also accusations that Imran Khan, who is running for the prime ministerial position this year, is the favourite of the generals sitting in Rawalpindi and has got their support. However, he has vehemently denied all charges, saying that all the opposition parties have converged and is attacking him, for he was the favourite to win the polls.
Public is demanding accountability of corrupt leaders of political parties. Now, each time there is an attempt to hold them accountable, they all get together and start saying it's anti-democratic. And in this case, they are saying it's people rigging.
He also asserted that he was confident of becoming the next Prime Minister of the country.
Quietly confident that this time we'll do it. It's the best prepared my party has been in terms of we've got good candidates and then we have a good manifesto. So I feel, we are prepared. But then, we can only try our best. I'm hopeful, I'm confident, but still, the match is not over until the last ball is bowled.
The elections are scheduled for 25th July, and there are high chances that the political equation and the atmosphere is going to make further shifts. The internal security that has been hit hard by the repeated attacks by fringes poses the biggest challenge to the government.
The situation is really tensed in the country. We have retired Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, a political defence expert with us, who has closely been following the developments in Pakistan. Brigadier Mahajan, how do you analyse the current political situation of Pakistan, especially the run-up to the elections slated later this month?
Pakistan has been a very unfortunate country as far as democracy is concerned. If you look at their history, you will find that out of 71 years of independence, nearly 35 years, the military establishment or dictators like Ayub Khan or Musharraf have ruled the country. And not only that, in the remaining year, when democratically elected parties were ruling, there have been a very large number of prime ministers, as many as 22 people have become prime ministers. There has never been a stable democracy in Pakistan. There has never been any political party which has been able to rule the country completely for 5 years, the mandate for which it was elected. And always the Pakistani army and ISI have interfered into Pakistan politics.
There are accusations that army establishments has been engineering the elections beforehand so as to give benefits to its own favorite. How do you see this?
Pakistani army has always interfered in Pakistan politics. They have supported Pakistani parties which were pro-Pakistani army by giving them funds from ISI. These things are always on record. And not only this time something very strange has happened. The Pakistani Election Commission has said all the polling booths in Pakistan on the day of elections will be manned by the Pakistani army.
Do you think Pakistan after elections will make any significant amendment in its foreign policy or internal policies that have by and large supported terrorism?
As far as Pakistan is concerned, it is unlikely to change in the near future of 1 year to 5 years because Pakistan's complete existence is based on anti-India. They do not have any economic policy, they do not have any worthwhile policy, they are obsessed with Kashmir. So their entire focus, energy and national, let's say, cooperation is against India. So therefore, this is not likely to change in the near terms.
Thank you, Brigadier Mahajan. Moving on to Afghanistan, where US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made a surprise visit to Kabul to hold discussion with the top leadership, including President Ashraf Ghani, and review the security situation, which has been deteriorating at a rapid pace. We have a report.
In a surprise visit to the war-torn country of Afghanistan, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called on political brass led by President Ashraf Ghani to review and discuss the prevailing security situation. Pompeo, the messenger of the US President Donald Trump's message of peace, asserted that his country wanted a peaceful reconciliation of years of hostile relationship between Kabul and the Taliban. Pompeo reiterated US's position on Afghan-led peace talks, stating that his country was willing to be an active player in the negotiations which could bring years of war to an end. He also hinted at an intensified offensive against the insurgents if they continue their agenda of violence.
You should know that the peace process is the same. The United States will support, facilitate, and participate in these peace discussions. But peace must be decided by the Afghans and settled among them. We expect that these peace talks will include a discussion of the role of international actors and forces. An element of the progress is the capacity that we now have to believe that there is hope, that many of the Taliban now see that they can't win on the ground militarily. That's very deeply connected to President Trump's strategy. We saw this. We saw what happened. We saw the Taliban respond to the ceasefire that President Ghani put in place.
The US-backed Kabul government has made extensive multi-pronged efforts to bring the Taliban to the negotiating table. Earlier, President Ghani proposed legitimizing the Taliban as a political entity and releasing prisoners in an effort to bring them closer to ending the conflict. Last month, Kabul extended a unilateral ceasefire to mark the end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, hoping that the truce might encourage the insurgents to join a dialogue. But the ceasefire was followed by resumed attacks after 3 days.
اگر توقع ما است که در یک روز بحران 40 ساله را حل کنیم این غیر واقعی است. اما حرکتی که ایجاد شده امید از این در مردم به صورت اساسی ایجاد کرده که ما حرکت کنیم.
Statistics and reports from different sources indicate at least 60% of the Afghan territory is under Taliban influence, and these insurgents have been successfully recapturing the ground at an overwhelming rate. Attacks have reportedly increased in recent months, with near-daily offensives launched against security forces.
Taliban has been unwavering in its campaign of toppling the US-backed Afghan government. Moving on to India, where the close-knit communities of the Northeast region display their unique culture and tradition through fairs and festivals. In one such celebration of social and cultural unity, Indigenous Mizo people organized first international festival of the province that brought tribal communities from across the border together and gave them an opportunity to mingle during the Mizo Hnahthlak International Festival in Aizawl. Have a look.
India portrays the colorful and diverse culture globally as the country hosts different ethnicity, race, creed and religion with peaceful coexistence. The unity and close bonding among the citizens could also be seen through fairs and festivals, as each event and occasion of the different community is celebrated in a unique manner and differ from each other. The beautiful traditions and culture of India's Northeast region has been captured many admirers from within and outside the country, as the region represents one of the unique features of India with their age-old practice and beliefs. Mizoram, one of the hill states of India and located at the easternmost part of the Northeast region, came alive as people in the region throng Tantuma Hall in Aizawl city and celebrate the first international culture festival of the Mizo ethnic group with pom and KT. Bordering with Myanmar and Bangladesh, Mizoram rolled out the red carpet for Mizo Hnahthlak International Festival, which saw huge participation from the Mizo tribal community living in different places and region.
One day the festival gives a kind of bonding that we don't kind of feel it in every day, but in that festival I think everybody just feels like brothers and sisters. And yeah, I think it's important that some kind of festivals for all the Mizos be organized time and again in the future.
The culture fairs featured the ethnic tribes and sub-tribes of Mizo community, which showcased the rich culture folk dances. Clad into colorful traditional attires, dance troupe displays the famous mass bamboo dance. The flawless and graceful movements of the women dancers, the beating of indigenous drums, and the menfolk's cautious movement of bamboo sticks culminates the intact beauty of the Mizo folk dance. The agriculture dances showcased by the Chakma and Mar communities portray the folktales of the indigenous people and their lifestyles during the olden days. Various culture troupes from neighboring states of Assam, Manipur and Tripura, as well as Myanmar and Bangladesh, were also performed their distinct sub-tribal culture dances.
Local kandi hey halaya jibili dan siang nalamna hian rokui kantia anlomtak ewa ko kanti mo ko kantia din nam in pum phatna thako nasazo kin hey aya athan den se ko kan dei sei ani.
The festival aimed at uniting the Mizo ethnic community socially and culturally under a single platform, though physically the community is scattered in various places. The Mizo community is one of the indigenous tribal ethnic groups of India, and this close-knit community is well known for their bravery and systematic lifestyles since the time immemorial.
India is home to numerous tribes which celebrate their festivals in unique style and fervor. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.